Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have swatches for you from the Me, Myself, and OPI collection from the brand OPI for spring 2023. I received my set from HB Beauty Bar, so in the description box I will link the OPI site and Instagram page, I will link the HB Beauty Bar site and Instagram page, and then I will link my Instagram page where you can see the swatches of everything from today's video. I do also have an affiliate code with HB Beauty Bar. It is here on the screen as well as in the description. If you want to use it, it is there for your using. So this collection has 12 polishes in it, and let's go ahead and get started. So first we have Left Your Texts on Red, and this one is a bright red, and it's got this silvery red flash to it. So here's our first coat of Left Your Texts on Red. This one does cover pretty well on this first coat, not completely opaque, so I am going to go in for 2, but it does have an excellent formula. These larger particle shimmers are definitely my favorite kind of shimmers available. They kind of look like a glitter without having glitter properties, so this does dry completely smooth. There's no texture to it, and removal is also easy. I also wanted to note I didn't have any staining on this one personally, but I left it on only for the swatch. It is pretty pigmented though, so I do recommend using a base coat. Like I said, this did cover completely in 2 coats. If you want your manicure to last longer, you can definitely finish this off with a glossy top coat. A matte top coat would also probably look really beautiful, almost like a velvety finish. So there are 2 coats of Left Your Texts on Red. Next up we have Spring Break the Internet, and this one is a flamingo pink, and it's got this bright pinky purple flash. Here's our first coat of Spring Break the Internet. This one is a little bit sheer here on this first coat. It is nice and even coverage though, so I do appreciate that. But this is personally one that I do want built up to full opacity, so I am going to show you 3 coats of this today. The formula is again wonderful to work with. I had no running, pooling, or staining. So here's our second coat, and that does build up really well in 2 coats, and if you're not super picky, you could probably get away with 2, but I could definitely still fully see my nail line. This one, the shimmer, didn't have any kind of brush strokes, even though it is a finer shimmer, so you don't really have to worry about straightening your brush strokes. And here's our third coat, and that did bring me up to full opacity. A top coat will help keep your manicure lasting to its fullest potential. It'll also give it a nice plump glossy finish. This does dry pretty glossy all on its own though. Nothing in here is going to dry textured, and nothing in here will be difficult to remove. So there are 3 coats of Spring Break the Internet. Up next we have Data Peach, and this one is a peachy coral frosted finish. So here's our first coat of Data Peach. This one does cover pretty well on this first coat. This one does have a even finer shimmer, so you do have some brush strokes throughout this once it's dry. On the first coat, I'm not too worried about my brush strokes, but I am a little bit more meticulous on my second coat just to make sure everything looks nice and straight. I really love the combination of the base color with the shimmer on this one. There are a few of these kind of frosted polishes in this collection, and this is my top pick of them. I got full opacity here in 2 coats. Again, that top coat will help keep your manicure lasting, and nothing will dry textured in this polish, and removal will be easy. You can see some of these brush strokes hanging out, and they don't go away as they dry. So here are 2 coats of Data Peach. Up next we have Switch to Portrait Mode, and this one is a softer peach, but again it does have this foily finish. Here's our first coat of Switch to Portrait Mode. This one is a little bit sheer here on this first coat, but overall it does cover really nicely. This is another one that has that kind of frosted finish to it, so I'm not too concerned about my brush strokes here on this first coat, but on the second coat I will do my best to make straighter strokes. I don't personally mind these frosted polishes, but it is going to show every single imperfection on your nail, which I have many of, so for that reason I don't wear them often, but they are I think, elegant and beautiful. I got full coverage here in 2 coats. Again, your brush strokes are going to hang around as this one dries. You could sponge this on if you didn't want to worry about that, but I do think that's more trouble than it's worth. So there are 2 coats. Up next we have Meta My Soulmate, and this one is a soft pink. And I think I kept saying foil for the last 2, but these are pearlized finishes. That was the word I'm looking for. Here's our first coat of Meta My Soulmate, and this is the last frosted polish in this collection. It's very similar to the last polish, so somebody had asked me to add a photo of all of the polishes together, so you will get to see them next to each other at the end of everything. They're similar, but they are definitely very different. So I also got 2 coats full coverage on this one. Again, you do need to be mindful of your brush strokes if that's something that bothers you. And again, every little imperfection is going to be seen once this is fully built up. You might end up needing 3 coats on this one. It was barely full coverage for me, but I was happy. So there are 2 coats. Up next we have Pink in Bio, and I'm very excited about this. I love when OPI does these almost white colors, but with a hint of something else. So this one does have a very, very, very tiny hint of pink. So here's our first coat of Pink in Bio. This one does have pretty good coverage here on this first coat. I ended up needing 3 coats to get full opacity. I do have some pretty intense ridges on my nails, so lighter colors like this end up looking patchy because some of it settles into the ridges, and the ridges that have it on top just end up looking a whole lot lighter than the ones that have it filled. That doesn't make any sense. So what I'm trying to say is I did need a full 3 coats for this one. If you use a base coat or don't have that issue, you would probably be just fine at 2. This has an incredible formula. This is the top pick of the collection for me. I was very excited to see this kind of color. It's definitely like one of my go-to colors. This is going to dry it nice and glossy all on its own. I do still recommend using that top coat. It is going to prolong the life of your manicure and make everything look nice and plump. So there are 3 coats of Pink in Bio. Up next we have Silicon Valley Girl, and this one is a bright orange cream. So here's our first coat of Silicon Valley Girl. This covers extremely well on this first coat. It's virtually a 1 coater. I am going to show you what 2 coats looks like today, because once this dries down, it is going to be slightly darker. So I was able to see just a little bit of unevenness once it was fully dried, but overall, incredible coverage. Again, an excellent formula to work with, no running, pulling, or personal staining. So here's our second coat, and I was extremely happy with 2 coats here. Just like everything else, this is going to dry to a nice glossy finish, and that top coat will help just kind of plump it up and bring the manicure full circle. I do also recommend using base coat with these brighter, more pigmented colors just to protect your natural nail. So there are 2 coats of Silicon Valley Girl. Next up we have Blinded by the Ring Light, and this one is, the only way I can describe it is a like baby nursery soft pastel yellow. Here's our first coat of Blinded by the Ring Light, and this is the polish that I was most stoked about in the collection. One of my absolute favorite yellow nail polishes is from China Glaze, and this is a dead-on exact color match. However, the formula is vastly different. My China Glaze one that looks just like this is pretty opaque, and I can get full coverage in 2 coats. Here I did 3 coats and I was still able to see a little bit of patchiness. That being said, if I wore a base coat, I don't think I would have as much of an issue, but it is pretty standard of yellow nail polishes to need a full 3 coats. I just think this one could have benefited from a fourth, and for that reason I was slightly let down, but I still really enjoyed the color of this polish. So here is that third coat. Again, I had no running, no pulling, no staining. This one's also going to dry to a nice glossy finish. A top coat will help your manicure last, and nothing will be difficult to remove since this is just a cream. So there are 3 coats of Blinded by the Ring Light. Up next we have Clear Your Cache, and this one is a pea green cream. Here's our first coat of Clear Your Cache. This one actually really surprised me. I am all about an ugly, pretty color, and this one is what I would classify as an ugly, pretty color. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I was surprised mostly because of the formula. It is a little bit sheer and a little bit patchy, and I did need 3 coats to build it up. However, it did build up to 100% opacity in that third coat, and I was very pleasantly surprised after using the previous polish. You could also get away with 2 coats on this if you worked a little bit thicker than I am and a little bit more careful, maybe a base coat. You know, there are circumstances where I think 2 coats could be applicable for this one, but I did need a full 3. I didn't have, again, any kind of running, pulling, or staining, and just like everything else in this collection, this will dry nice and glossy all on its own. And for some reason, this really makes me think of the Nickelodeon slime. So this one paired with the orange that we looked at earlier is Chef's Kiss. So there are 3 coats. Up next we have NFTease Me, and this one is a soft powdery pastel blue cream. Here's our first coat of NFTease Me, and this is, I think, the only name in the collection that I didn't quite understand what it meant, but I'm also not somebody who understands or tries to understand anything about crypto. The formula on this was good though. I got pretty good coverage here on this first coat. This is just like the last one where under certain circumstances, I think 2 coats would be perfectly acceptable. However, just during my swatching session, I have, close-ups on my hands. I have no base coat on. I have all of the elements working against me. I did end up needing a full 3 coats. But the formula is excellent. No running, no pulling, no staining, no application issues whatsoever. So here is that third coat. Again, we are going to have a glossy finish here, but to plump it up and bring it all full circle and back to life, that top coat is really going to do wonders. So there are 3 coats of NFTease Me. Next we have Incognito Mode, and this one is a dusty pastel purple cream. Here's our first coat of Incognito Mode. This one does have more of a jelly-like formula and finish to it. Very smooth, very even application. Again, no running, no pulling, no staining. However, I was wonderfully surprised to see this one covered completely in 2 coats. The one that covers more like a jelly or applies more like a jelly, I got full opacity in 2. A nice, beautiful, squishy, glossy finish on this one. I do recommend that top coat. Nothing in here stains, and removal's easy, and no running or no pulling into your cuticles. A nice, beautiful polish. So there are 2 coats of Incognito Mode. And lastly for today we have I Sold My Crypto, and this one is a sheerish purple base, and it's got this bright bluey purple shimmer to it. Here's our first coat of I Sold My Crypto. This one surprised the heck out of me. I am not a purple polish wearer, but especially not these warmer purples, and I thought this was absolutely stunning. Though this one is packed with shimmer, I didn't have any kind of brush strokes. It is pretty sheer here on this first coat. If you wanted to, you could definitely layer this as a topper over maybe a coordinating purple or over a darker color, but it does build up nicely to opacity in 3 coats. This one also has these larger particle shimmers that I am a monstrous fan of, so I was very happy to see the finish on this one. That being said, these are shimmers, so nothing will dry textured and nothing will remove like a glitter. So there are 3 coats of I Sold My Crypto. And like I said earlier, somebody had asked to see all the polishes in the collection in one photo, specifically wanted to see the banner that I put up there as a photo. So here that is, just for a comparison of all of the polishes together. And guys, that is it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of these polishes. Let me know if you plan on picking any of them up, and let me know what your favorite was. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and I will talk to you again next time.